So we're going to do a small exercise to help you find anatomical neutral here. And we are going to do this exercise from the position of Tadasana, or mountain pose. And that pose simply looks like standing at the front of the mat, standing upright, arms down by your side, palms facing forward, like this, or like this. And this is just going to help you explore the different curves of your spine to see it'll help you find a little bit about where your habits lie. Because very rarely does somebody have perfect posture all the time. You know, I know that for me, I tend to dump into my pelvis a little bit, have a little bit of an anterior tilt, leaning back a little bit, head forward. And so by bringing attention to my Tadasana, to my anatomical neutral, has really helped improve my posture overall. So to begin, you're going to come to anywhere on your mat, just come to a standing position. And you can do this with your eyes open or your eyes closed. But you want to take a minute just to gaze down at your feet. You want your feet parallel to one another, facing towards the front of the mat. And you want to evenly distribute your weight through all four corners of your feet. So that means evenly distribute the weight from your toes to your heels and from the outer to the inner sides of the foot. So you can spend a minute here rocking up onto the toes, back onto the heels, maybe rocking a bit side to side to kind of find that space that feels the most stable for you. And as you do this too, you can also pick up your toes, widen, spread the toes apart as you widen, and then lower them back down. It's going to help you find some more stability. And just spend a few minutes there, finding engagement through the arches of the foot. Once you have found your stability in your feet, we're going to move up the body. So you want a slight bend in your knees. Pay attention to any locking out of any of your joints or overextension of your joints. You want to have a nice micro bend in the knees. Engagement through the legs. So gentle lift of the kneecaps, gentle engagement of the quads and inner thighs as they energetically pull together. Take a few minutes there to explore that. Before we move up to the hips. Now, your hips can also, it's kind of like a bowl. So if you think of your pelvis as a bowl, and that bowl can spill forward for an anterior tilt, and that bowl can spill backward for a posterior tilt. So spend some time kind of dipping your pelvis forward, and then pulling it back to kind of see where neutral is for you. And when you do this, make sure you keep that nice bend in your knees. If you have your knees locked out, you can see that my pelvis isn't going to move very much. If you have that nice bend in your knees, engagement of the legs, you're going to find a lot more mobility. And if this is the first time that you're exploring this kind of movement, you may not see much movement, but you should feel even these subtle movements. And you want to try and isolate that movement just to the pelvis. So you're not opening up through the chest and closing through your chest. Just try and keep that movement in the pelvis for right now. So spend a few moments there, maybe tilting the pelvis forward and back to kind of find what feels neutral for you, so that you have that nice neutral curve of the lumbar spine where it's not pinching forward, pinching too much, dumping forward, or you're not flexing your glutes, pushing your hips forward. Okay, good. All right, then moving up from your pelvis, you want to have slight engagement of your core. I like to think of when I engage my core more of almost like a zipper. So starting at the pelvic floor, zipping up through my core. And you don't have to squeeze this super tight, just a nice slight engagement. almost kind of bringing your hip bones and ribs a little bit closer together. Good. Moving up to the chest. Try and find a little bit of space in between your collarbones here. Nice broad chest. Shoulders down and back. Palms facing forward. Nice engagement through the fingertips here. Make sure you're keeping the shoulders down and they're not tensed up by the ears. Finding length in that cervical spine, so meaning just nice neutral curve. You're not craning back or dipping the chin into the chest. You want your chest or your chin parallel to the floor. Head just floats nicely on top of the body here. Your jaw is soft. In between the brows is soft. And if you've kept your eyes open, you just want to have a nice gaze forward, or you can keep those eyes closed. And then lastly, just kind of think of a string tied to the top of your head, and it's pulling you upwards. Just keep this engagement throughout your whole body, but just try and find a little bit more length, a little bit more space in between those vertebrae. And likely this is a lot of work for you. It's not something that comes natural to a lot of people. So I just wanted to do this exercise to bring your attention, you can let that go now, to bring your attention to how different these poses can feel when you really bring attention to all of these different parts of your spine. And, you know, we are not anatomically symmetrical everywhere too. So just trying to pay attention to these things through you go throughout your daily life. You know, a lot of times, you know, you might wear a bag on one shoulder and that shoulder might dip down a little bit, or a baby on one hip and you've got that hip popped out. You know, a new mom, if you're, you know, feeding your baby, if you're breastfeeding or even bottle feeding, you tend to be kind of hunched over. So it's just trying to bring awareness to different parts of your spine. I try and do these types of things when I'm, you know, cutting up vegetables for dinner, you know, get a strong foundation, and rather than, you know, dumping into different parts. And as you work on this, those muscles will strengthen and hopefully improve your posture. Thank you.